All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. As we get ourselves all logged in, I'm going to get all my windows kind of resized. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to our Q1 2026 ADOT DBE Task Force meeting. We'll go ahead and call this to order at 9:01. I'm gonna got a couple of things going on, so I'll go through some housekeeping notes. My name is Rebecca Morris. I'm the president and the founder of the Arizona Builders Exchange. So good morning to everyone who is joining us live, and welcome to everyone who's watching the recorded version. Please do use the chat. So if you see the chat in the middle window, if you have a toolbar, you can probably find that chat button. You are encouraged to take advantage of virtual networking. Say hello, good morning to everyone that is in attendance. You're welcome to drop in your contact information if you'd like. That is available to you. And then also housekeeping, make sure to change the drop down to everyone. So I think the default will go just to panelists, just to us on the speaker side. If you'd like to say hello to everyone, please do use the chat that's directed to everyone in attendance. So thank you so much for joining us one more time. I am going to scroll through our non-discrimination notice. So we do have a couple notes over here. I hope you're able to see those on screen. So thank you so much and welcome. Here's our non-discrimination and kind of the legalese, if you will, the fine print. And then also, as we get into our presentation, you're welcome to use the chat for comments, but we would also, if you have any specific questions to the department head updates, or also to our presenter today, please use the Q&A. That is a little bit different than the chat. That holds the question so we can answer it. So the chat sometimes, we'll keep going. I love to see all the notes from everyone. It's always so wonderful to see people paying attention. But the Q&A, like if you have a specific question, sometimes we might not be able to get back to you real quick, as we're speaking. So in case there are specific questions, we want to make sure that we do that. There is also this survey, self-identification survey. We will drop the link into the chat as well if you'd like to take advantage of that. I believe that helps ADOT with reporting quite a bit. So, all right, let's get into it. So we've got the recording going. We've got our chat enabled. And then I would like to invite Mesa Hanna with the State Engineer's Office. Mesa, I know your camera wasn't working great for you this morning, so I'm just going to mute myself, but I'll leave my camera on. Would you provide an update from the State Engineer's Office?
Of course. Good morning, everyone, and happy to be here. Let me share with you a few things just to give you a quick update. I have host disabled the participant screen sharing.
Try it now. We just clicked a button. Hopefully you should be able to share now.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Let me get that first. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, awesome. I think I will start with a quick update on reorganization. Director Toth have made some changes to the in the leadership by changing some assignments as a result of three big retirement. And one of them is Floyd, who is over the business side, working with the State Transportation Board and other things. And we also have Christine Ward, who used to be over the finance, our CFO, and also Teresa Wilburn. The three of them, Floyd is still with us, but he is retiring very soon. So she made some shifting to accommodate the need of the business so we can continue the way we are going. So let me tell you, Mr. Greg Bayer our deputy director, actually moved to be over the business enterprise, and Adra Merrick is our current state engineer now. And for the position used to be held by Mr. Wade Webb. That is now taken over by Jeremy Newman. He will be, and I will go over the details here in a second. And Mr. Wade Webb, he is taking over FMS, he's taking over motor vehicle and the administrative service division. And for the law and policy, that is being led by Stacy Galen. And actually, the communication section moved under this group now. So a quick summary of this: ADRA will have MPD, the multimodal planning division will have the project delivery and operation, will have also the alternative delivery and major project. Jeremy will have the enforcement and compliance, will have the enterprise safety, and business community will have the emergency management. I also will have traffic operations center. Mr. Webb, he is over the MVDE. He is over the informational, over the ITG, Information Technology Group, and he also over the Administrative Service Division and the Human Resource. For Greg, he will be over the Procurement Office, the State Transportation Board, the Arizona Highway Magazine, the Employee and Business Development Office, and also the ADOT Transformation Office. For Deputy Director Stacy Galen, she is over the government relation, over the Executive Hearing Office, communication and public involvement, also administrative counsel. She also got the risk management and the audit analysis. So that is just a very high view of the new organization. I can share this with you, Rebecca, and maybe it's up to you how to distribute it. So that's for the most recent org change in ADOT. Now, let me close this one, and I would like to share also with you something for the budget. As you know, with the beginning of a new year, we all start our, looking into our budget, and that already started actually yesterday with a kickoff meeting after the release of the governor proposal budget. And it seems to me like it's, okay. I think this is, I don't know if you can see the new screen or not, or still.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So basically, the legislative session began on January 12th. And with that, Governor Hobb released a proposed budget to all the state agencies. And right now, we are working on, how can we look at this proposal? How can we add to it? How can we make some changes and go back again to the governor's office and making our case? So I think there is a very good start here. They added about 11.4 million from the state highway fund to meet the baseline need for the new You know that for the I-10, the Broadway curve, and for the South Mountain, we have a lot of lane miles added to the system. So they included 11.4 million from the State Highway Fund to meet the baseline need for about 487 new lane miles. So that is big. And not to forget also the I-17 Flex Lane Gate project. They also added $10 million to the SMART Fund, which is being utilized very well by the local communities. So no change as far as our FTEs. So that's all good. So now looking into something else, I always ask Brahma to give me statistics for where we stand every quarter, and looking at the slide that you see here, starting from 2023 Q1, I can see the average DBE goal continue to increase. And if you look at the last quarter, we are talking about 5.85. I'm sorry, it's 5.65%. So I can see healthy progression here of the DBE involvement. So I know Brahma will touch base on the DBE and the interim ruling. So I'm not gonna talk much about this. I will leave it to the team here. But I can see a very good, healthy involvement and engagement. Just to keep up the good job. Any questions?
All right. Thank you so much, Mesa.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. All right, I'm watching. I'm trying to see if I have any questions. I don't see any. All right. Thank you so much, Mesa, for joining us today. I will invite Brahma Singh with the Contracts and Specifications Department. Brahma, would you turn your camera on and your microphone on?
Hello, good
Oh,
morning.
Brahma, I can't see you. I can see the square for the video.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Brahma, can you hear me okay?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't. There you are. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. There
can
you
you
are.
hear
All
me?
right, I will step into the background. Brahma, please take it away.
Okay, and you're able to hear me and everything okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Just wanted to make sure. Good morning, everybody. I am Brahma Singh. I am the group manager for the Contracts and Specifications Department at ADOT. And I will just be sharing a quick, brief update of what is happening in CNS and what has been happening. Some of these things I'm sure you all may have heard about or been involved in, had some glimpses, or it may have affected you. The biggest thing, as you just heard Mesa mention, was the interim final rule which was received by all state departments from the USDOT. And it went into effect October 3rd of last year of 2025. Basically, what that did was remove all DBE goals for the time being from our projects. And it reclassified the definition of a DBE, and you all may have heard that now the definitions are based on neutrality. So we have race neutral and gender neutral. And to be classified as a DBE, there are some changes in how that is done. And BECO does have that information, our business and engagement compliance office. They do have information on how to become re-registered as a DBE. At this time, if you were previously qualified, you do have to go in and re-register, and that information is available through their office and that application and the things that need to be submitted to do that. But at the time being, we are operating without any DBE goals. However, we still encourage all of you to apply to be, primes. And then if you if you work typically as a subcontractor, do look into that as well. Those who are interested in becoming registered prime contractors with ADOT, we have on our website an application process to become pre-qualified with us, and that is on the azdot.gov /business. And if you go in there and go to our contracts and specifications webpage, you will see the application and instructions. Our pre-qual board meets. We meet about once a month, sometimes more frequently, to get our prime contractors qualified and out there bidding on our jobs. Speaking of bidding on our jobs, at the current moment, we do have approximately 20 wonderfully amazing projects out there advertised for our contractors to actively bid on and look into. 3 of those are some pretty big, interesting jobs that are coming up here pretty quick in this month. The bid opening for those will be happening very soon. We have a bid opening coming up this Friday for a large job on 101 and I-10. That's approximately a $300 million job. So if you guys are contractors out there who have not looked into that, definitely do so. And then next week we have another one on the 303 and Van Buren, that's about $600 million. And then the week after that, we have one on State Route 260 and Lion Springs, and that's about $100 million. So we have just this month alone approximately $1 billion worth of work coming up for all of our contractors out there. So we do encourage you to please go out there, take a look on our website. That is also on our contracts and specifications website. If you go under current advertisements, you will see those projects there. The same place you would go if you want to register to be a contractor, registered prime contractor with us. So that is kind of the projects updates. And I know, we've had recently, you heard about the IFR, the interim final rule, that did, have us put out there a temporary e-prize specification where, we did not have any goals at the moment for DBE. Just recently, we also had implemented a new specification requiring Buy America, Build America requirements, or if you abbreviate BABA, B-A-B-A. What happened with that, and it was put out and is an addendum on all federal aid projects that were obligated after October 1st, 2025. And what happened there was that originally in 1983, there was a waiver, a manufactured products and general waiver that was in place. And this final rule regarding BABA did terminate that waiver. And so what we have now, there's 2 parts to this new BABA requirement. The first part was that all final assembly of products, manufactured products, be in the United States. So that amendment has been put out at the time being, and that went into effect similarly October 1st of last year. Coming up later this year, there will be another update where we will be required to basically state that 55% requirement. So what this means is that all manufactured products permanently incorporated into a project must both be manufactured in the United States and have the cost of the components of the manufactured product be greater than 55% of the total cost of all components of the manufactured products. So this 55% requirement will be coming into effect this coming October of this year. At the time being, we do just have the final assembly requirement that is in place. So as we do get more information on that, and as that spec is published, we will share that with you. But that is something to keep your eye out on. Current federal aid projects, that final assembly addendum is out there and will be in on new projects as well. And the last thing I did want to share is that the Arizona Department of Transportation standard specifications for road and bid construction. If you all may have seen, we used to have this awesome red book. I don't know if you can see it because of the background here, but this is going to be replaced by a digital only version coming up here in just a few months. We expect that to be ready in about March or April, and that'll be online and digital for everyone's use. With that, I did not have anything else. I hope I did not take too much of everyone's time this morning, but I do appreciate it. Thank you again.
Thank you, Brahma. Those are really great updates. Yeah, there's a ton of work. I gotta give ADOT a shout out, like always. Your bid times are very substantial. So although the bid due dates are this month for your three big projects, those are some known bid opportunities. Those have been out for a while, and I gotta give you guys credit for giving the market enough time to find, prepare, and respond. So kind of a compliment to your team there, Brahma. And thank you for the heads up on the Buy America, Build America, some big changes coming over there. Appreciate it. All right, Brahma, I will invite you to turn your camera off and your microphone off. As we move on to our next department update, Jennifer Moises with ECS, or Engineering Consultants section. Jennifer, will you turn your camera on and your microphone on? Jennifer, I'll step into the background. Take it away.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jennifer Moises. I'm with the Engineering Consultant section here at ADOT. And we do have 9 upcoming advertisements that I'd like to share with everybody. I'm going to put our link to our upcoming website in the chat for everyone. And this is a good place to take a look for everything that we have coming up. And we'll typically only identify it on this page as what's coming up by quarter. So you can see here, home business engineering consultant section, upcoming advertisements. We have the Van Buren. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see it perfect.
Okay. Van Buren to I-10 West. This is for some HOV bus only connections. We do list the project manager here at ADOT and also the specialist. As Bahram just went over, we did have to move all of our DBE goals to 0 for now. So this is a really informative page for everybody. Town of Gilbert grade crossing. This is an elimination study. And you'll see that these are all quarter 3. So hopefully in the next couple months, we'll be advertising 8 projects. And for some reason, I thought that this downtown Douglas, downtown street improvements, I thought that might, oh no, it's this one. Quarter 4 is the 303 Estrella, Grand Avenue Ultimate Interchange. This is a DCR, Design Concept Report, and Environmental Assessment. We've got our project manager, our ECS specialist. Again, we're going to keep this to be determined until we get a little bit closer. We don't expect anything to change, but instead of putting 0 there for now, we're just going to leave it at to be determined. And so these are all the upcoming projects for the design and, of course, the studies that the department has coming up. Okay. And that's really all I had to go over with everybody.
Well, man, you made it short, but man, that's impactful. There's so many opportunities coming. And another compliment is just getting the advance notice out there so firms can prepare for those. So excellent.
Sure.
And one clarification, only because we're kind of new year, always thinking about quarters and timeframes. Confirm if I'm getting this correct. ADOT's quarter system Q1 is actually July through July, August, September, right? Is that right?
Yes.
So you're currently in Q3 of 2026, fiscal year 2026 of ADOT.
Correct. We are in fiscal year 26. January, February, and March is quarter 3. So yeah.
It's different, right? Calendar years
It
versus
is.
fiscal years.
There's
So I just wanted
Fed
to
and yeah,
reiterate
there's
that.
there's a lot of different fiscal years. So
Excellent. Jennifer, thank you so much for making the time and for bringing that forward. I will invite you to
certainly.
turn your camera off and your microphone off. And we have one more update from ADOT before we move into our main topic. Lorena Nava, DBE Supportive Services Program Manager. Lorena, would you give us an update?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Hello, everyone, and good morning. I'm Lorena Nava, and I lead the DBE Supportive Services Programs and Initiatives. And we're here to continue supporting small businesses and firms. As was mentioned earlier, we are staying close to the interim final rule, the IFR, and any updates that we receive from USDOT, the U.S. Department of Transportation. And if there are any other updates to the current guidance, you'll hear about them from us as we receive them. You'll see our latest communication posted on our website. That'll contain some updates and guidance, and also in our contracting management system, DOORS, for notifications and announcements on those reevaluations. And of course, if you're not already enrolled in our monthly and weekly communications, I do highly encourage you to subscribe to receive our DBESS snapshot, but also our Workforce Connection snapshot for any industry-related articles in education, current events, training opportunities, workforce development, and apprenticeship opportunities. All great things that will help you in your business, and also learn about some project opportunities. So stay posted to us if you're not already subscribed. And next, I'm excited to announce that our main outreach event for the year, mark your calendars for our 2026 ADOT, DBE, and Small Business Transportation Expo. That's going to take place on May 12th at the Mesa Convention Center. This is our one outreach event for the year. It's highly valuable. It is a must-attend event, so I encourage you to register when we open registration later this month. You'll have an opportunity to hear from our transportation leaders, learn about some exciting project opportunities, get resources to help advance your workforce development, panel sessions, and also you'll have an opportunity to network with our primes, small businesses, firms at their exhibit tables, but also take advantage of one-on-one matchmaking sessions so that you can build, some connections, discover projects, and really any opportunities to access your workforce capabilities. So please attend. It is going to be a very, very good event for you to be there. I'll make sure to drop all of the links in the chat to the things that I mentioned. And I look forward to helping you stay connected and involved in all of our supportive services and outreach events. So with that, thank you so much. We have a great session for you guys today to help you set and achieve business goals. So with that, I will turn it right back over to Rebecca. Thank you all.
Lorena, thank you so much. We're excited about the expo. That's a highlight of the year. For sure. I will direct Lorena and possibly Gabe. There is a question in the Q&A. I don't know if you're able to answer that verbally or if you wanted to respond with a written answer. The question is just, have there been many reevaluation applications received across the state? So I'll give you a couple minutes to respond. I know Gabe, you're on, and I know Lorena, in case you have something you wanted to say, you're welcome to turn your camera on, or we could just answer over in the Q&A. All right, thank you to all of our ADOT contacts for providing those department updates. That to me is one of the values of staying engaged with the DBE Supportive Services program, is finding those updates. So referring back to something Mesa did, I had no idea there was big leadership changes over at ADOT. So staying connected, making sure you're aware of those kind of important and meaningful changes is one of the benefits of being here. So thank you all so much again for providing those valuable insights. And with that, I'd like to invite Dana Earhart. Dana, would you turn your camera on and your microphone on? Dana is a small business growth strategist, not just small businesses, because your experience kind of the gamut, very large corporations, and has been a small business consultant. I'm pulling this out of my memory, about 15 years now, so it's been a while. Dana, I welcome you to the stage to talk about how to set goals. I know our title is technically From Hustle to High Performance, Unlocking Your Business Potential in 2026. Dana, I'm going to step into the background and take it away, please.
Great, thank you so much. And I am going to go ahead and share my screen here as well. What I would love to know, if you can just throw in the chat, I like to know who I'm speaking to. And so I would love to know if you're a business owner or if you have a leadership role. Of course, we all technically have leadership role, whether we're leading our day or leading other people. However, when it comes to business, again, I'd love to know how many business owners we have with us today, and how many individuals in leadership positions where you are leading others throughout the day. Before we jump into really talking about strategy and systems, there's something I've learned over my 20 plus, almost 30 years working with business owners, and it is that and my slides are not advancing. What am I doing wrong? There we go. That your business will only grow to the level of the leader running it. And leadership capacity isn't about skill, it's about bandwidth. So if you're exhausted, if you're stretched thin, if you're feeling as though you are carrying everything on your shoulders and doing it yourself, it doesn't matter how smart you are. You simply don't have the capacity to lead your team or lead the business the way you want to and the way it deserves to be led. And that's what we're really here for today to talk about. Thank you so much to Rebecca and Lorena for having me. I'm excited to be here. As Rebecca shared, it's 13 years in business this month. However, I have spent well over 20 years in consulting. And so I have walked alongside service-based business owners and professionals like yourselves, helping them grow. And the key is without working longer hours or carrying more responsibility on your own shoulders. So before starting my own firm 13 years ago, I worked for a large corporate consulting firm. I led a team of 100 individuals across the United States and internationally. And then I joined a boutique consulting firm where I was the first full-time employee, and we grew it to multi-team, 7-figure business. And let me tell you that it was not always glamorous. I built almost everything from scratch in that firm, whether it was our documents, our templates, our checklists, put the systems in place that actually made delegation and growth possible as we added more team members. And everything I created in the organization was used both internally for our purposes and then also everything that was necessary to share with our clients as well externally. So when we're talking about operations and leadership today, I want you to know that this is not theory for me. I've actually lived it, and I continue to live it in my current role. So from hustle to high performance, working harder is not always the answer. I don't doubt that everyone here today works hard. You probably put in long hours at times, you have high standards, you've taken on a lot of responsibility, and some of you probably welcome more responsibility. So if effort alone solved the problem, you wouldn't feel stretched thin, which tells us something really important, and that the problem isn't always effort. It's often something else. Effort is the necessary evil for it when you're not implementing the other key steps. Most owners don't have a strategy problem. They don't need another strategy. They don't need another course, and they don't need to hustle harder. They simply don't have the bandwidth or capacity to lead because they're still being pulled into working as an employee. Some of you may know that may have hit hard. There's a difference between being an employee and an employee mindset and an employer mindset. Some of these may sound familiar, and it looks like my slide went a little wonky, so I apologize for that. But you may find yourself wearing every hat in the organizations, or at least far too many. You may have constant interruptions. I know that I had a client who literally was talking to me on Zoom and then said she had 3 team members lined up at her door waiting for her. So in addition to that, we've got technology now. So we're getting pinged in texts, in email, in Slack. We might need to be jumping on a Zoom. We may have in-person meetings. There's just constant interruptions. And you also may feel that the best way to really stay afloat is to be working some nights and weekends. And even worse, you might be afraid to take more than a couple of days off at a time to unplug because you're afraid of what may go wrong. And the worst one, I think, is when you're doing goals and you start noticing that the same goals are showing up quarter after quarter and maybe year after year. How many of you have experienced any of these? Let's go ahead and just pop it in the chat. Say yes if any of these sound familiar. I'm going to give you a few minutes because I want to know if if I'm talking with a group that's honest here, because the truth is, even I teach this, I live this, and there are days where I absolutely know that some of these are rearing their ugly head in my arena. So before we jump into tactics, I want you to think about something. For those of you that are business owners, I want you to think about why you started your business in the first place. Was it for financial freedom? Was it for time freedom? Maybe it was a combination of those. One thing I see far too often, and honestly, I've fallen into it a time or two, is that I forget why I started. I have a son who's 14 and a half. So if you do the math, he was about 1.5 years when I started my business, and he was a big why. I didn't want to be a consultant traveling the country anymore, living in hotel rooms more nights than I wanted to. I wanted to be at home with him, and I wanted time flexibility to be able to adjust my schedule based on what season he was in. And one thing I realized last fall, he's now in 8th grade, so how he needs me is a little bit different. There's more times that I'm just an Uber mom, driving him to sports or driving to friends, and I'm sure some of you can resonate. But what I also felt last fall is all of a sudden I started feeling guilty because we were in basketball season. And then that meant leaving the office a little bit early. If he had a 4 o'clock game and it was a little bit of a drive, I was leaving by 3 or 3:30, and I started feeling guilty. And I had to actually remind myself that this is, in fact, one of the reasons that I launched my own firm, so that I could have that flexibility. And so for each of you, what was it for you? Why did you start your business? Was it time freedom and flexibility? Was it financial freedom? And then get honest with yourself. Are you experiencing that? Are you taking advantage of the financial freedom, of the time freedom, or whatever it may have been for you when you started your business? And I want to ask each of you to go on a little journey with me and imagine an average day in your life 1 year from now. This is actually an exercise that I have every single one of my clients do before we even get into business goals and strategy, because I want everyone I work with to be really clear on the life you want, so that then we know how to build a business that supports that life, and that you're not left trying to squeeze life around the business, which is certainly what I was doing in the corporate world. I was absolutely squeezing my life in around my job. So imagine your day. What does it look like? What time do you wake up? Who do you spend time with? What are you not doing anymore? How does your day feel? And that's an important one. From the moment you wake up to the moment your head hits the pillow that night and you're smiling from ear to ear because of what you created and what you accomplished, that's what you want to get crystal clear on, is really thinking about what your day looked like, who you spent time with, what hours you were working, what hours you were at home or with family or friends. And really think about that. And one thing I have noticed time and time again is that when one part of our life is out of alignment, this vision gets harder and harder to experience, even when the business is technically growing. And for me, I'd like to share with you the 5 pillars that I believe are the foundation of sustainable success. So when you're looking to go from hustle to high performance, when you want to unlock your potential in 2026, I want you to be first thinking in terms of these 5 pillars. When it comes to your health, that is your physical health, your medical health, your mindful health, nutritional, emotional, spiritual. Because the truth is, I know it's a cliche, we've probably all heard it, but without our health, or without health, what good is wealth? And the truth is, if you are not taking care of this vessel that you've been given, there is no way for you to show up at 100% of your best self for your family, for your team, for your business. The next pillar is relationships. Starts with the relationship you have with yourself. Are you a person of integrity? Do you do what you say you're going to do? Do you take care of yourself and your relationships in the way you say you will? It also means your primary relationship, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your significant other, time with your kids, with your family, with your friends, with your community. What do you want those relationships to look like this year? What do you want to be celebrating 12 months from now? Third, and I keep this separate, many times people think of finances in business, and then we have finances at home. Well, I think really, especially when you're a business owner, you also want to collectively think about what you want to be celebrating with finances, both personally and professionally, because naturally one feeds the other. And then business goals, the 4th pillar. Those are your metrics, your KPIs, understanding if you have the right team structure, the right job descriptions for each of those positions. Do you have the right people in the right seats? It's looking at your systems, your SOPs, etc. And then leadership. When it comes to leadership, it is leadership of you, it's leadership of your team. It is also, and some might say I'm going to go a little woo here, but understand that this is, I believe, one of the most important components of leadership, and it is probably the one most often looked right over. And it is all about who you are being throughout the day. So I encourage my clients when they're looking at all of these the 4 other pillars, that when it comes to leadership, it's about who do all those other goals require you to be? Because what got you to where you are today is not what will take you to where you want to be tomorrow, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years, 10 years. It is about up leveling who you are being. And again, I said it before, but it's so true that if any one of these pillars starts to wobble, everything else starts feeling heavier. You can grow revenue and still feel burned out. You can hit business goals and still miss your life. And when everything feels heavier, most leaders assume that they need a better strategy. But after working with hundreds of business owners, I've found something else is usually happening. And I'm guessing you're smart, you're experienced, you're here today. You've built real businesses, you've built real teams. Yet, why does it still feel heavier than it should so much of the time? And notice I said should. I don't like to should on people, so I won't say that often. However, why does growth feel like more work than it does freedom? Over the last 13 years, I've noticed the same pattern over and over and over. It is not about talent, it is not about intelligence, and it's not effort. What it is about is structure, and more specifically, understanding and being aware of where your bottlenecks are in your current structure. So we're going to spend a little time talking about bottlenecks because the uncomfortable truth in most small and mid-sized businesses, the bottleneck isn't the market, it isn't your team, and more often than not, it is you, the leader. But hear me out. It is not because you are bad at business. In fact, you're probably too good at what you do because everything starts routing directly through you. Every decision needs your input. Every approval waits for you, which means the business can only move as fast as one person. Or if you're fortunate enough and you have another team of leaders, it might be that the bottleneck is with them for all of these same reasons. And it's an opportunity to really work on mentoring them through the same bottlenecks that you may be needing to work through as well. So the first bottleneck we're going to talk about is delegation. And I worked, it was a couple years ago when she came to me. I worked with a woman in a professional services firm. She was at about $2 million in annual gross revenue. Great team, great clients. And yet, the more I started learning, she shared with me that every proposal, every invoice, every client deliverable had to cross her desk first. Her team would literally, I've referenced this earlier, would literally line up outside of her office for approvals, for questions, for permission on things that they could have been moving forward with. And she told me the third bullet here, this is the most crucial, the one I probably hear most often when you're at that tipping point and you know that you should be delegating more, and yet you think it's faster to do it yourself. And if you think it's faster to do it yourself, it probably is right now, and it always will be if that's how you continue to think of it. That is a great opportunity to start mentoring. And what often happens is, you can see here, I've shared on the screen, there's common failed solutions that you may have already tried. And it's hiring more people, it's working longer hours, and it's jumping in to help everyone. And yet you feel like none of it really worked because there was still the approval step that you're part of. And if you are the quality control department for everything in your business, you've built a job, not a business. The good news is there is a quick fix for it. And I can show you how to delegate, or what you want to do, and I can show you how to do it, is to delegate outcomes, not tasks. So often I see leaders task dump, and there's not really an ownership to what's being passed on because the outcome hasn't been delegated. There also may be additional training or mentoring that is needed. Also, when you document the process, those SOPs are so crucial because you can document them once and it is there to help you with the ongoing mentoring and training. And nowadays with technology, it is so easy. Anytime you're doing things on the computer, or if you're in a meeting, you can flip on Loom, you can record your screen, you can use Otter or Fathom or any of the other tools to get a transcription of the conversation. Then you can load it into ChatGPT. It'll produce the SOP for you from your actual training. It's a great way to repurpose and utilize AI. But you also, in delegating, when it's done appropriately, when it's done well, you want someone else to own it at least 80%. And then you can come in and coach it to 95 and 100% completion. And you start doing that a couple of times, you won't need to coach it after that. That is the first bottleneck. The second bottleneck that I want to reference today is prioritization. Another owner that I worked with showed me her to-do list once. There were 43 items on it for that day alone. She was busy from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and still felt behind because she wasn't leading, she was simply reacting. And when you can be leading intentionally, you change the game, you change your daily experience, you change your outcome, you change the results. So what she had already tried in these cases, and what many people try when they're struggling with prioritizations, is they just make a bigger to-do list, and you start having a to-do list with 50, 75, 100 things on it, and you just think, I'll just cross off a couple each day. A couple each day with a list of 100, that's going to take you 50 days to get through that. And also, and this is more subconsciously, what you're training yourself is to always feel like you're behind the 8 ball. And energetically, that does not help you wake up the next day and show up as your best self. There's also things that people have tried nowadays with productivity apps and timers. And that still tends to be a challenge. And working nights and weekends, just adding more hours to it. While it may help in the short term, if you do it too long, you start becoming very resentful. And again, that is not how you can sustainably grow a business. And the truth is, when everything feels urgent, understand that nothing on your plate is actually being treated as important. So there's 3 things that I believe you can do that are quick, needle moving ways to approach it. And first, every single day, or even I encourage you actually the night before, to get clear on what are your top 3 priorities for the next day. And by priority, I mean the needle moving priorities for that day. And you block them on your calendar first. Let your priorities be first so that you don't allow someone else's request to become more important than yours. Everything else fits around them and waits, but really put it on your calendar and treat it as a priority. The third bottleneck that I see often is leadership bandwidth. This is one that almost everyone misses. And again, I am guilty of this every once in a while when I have not carefully led my calendar. But it's most owners are still acting like an employee who got promoted. And what I mean by that is they are estimating, they're managing projects, they're answering all the questions, they're solving every problem. They're running from meeting to meeting, and there is no white space on their calendar. That means there's no thinking time and there's no leadership. And leadership requires thinking time. So if your calendar is full of doing everything that you need to do, there's no room for being and thinking and actually being the leader that your team and your organization needs. The failed solutions that I often see leaders attempt to correct this with is just scheduling back-to-back meetings. Okay, we'll have a meeting for this, a meeting for that, and we'll get work done in the meetings. Only if they're not careful, the work is actually not getting done in the meetings. Another failed solution is making themselves available at all times for everyone else, because when you're always available for everyone else, who's doing your role? Who is leading the pack? Who is doing what's required in your role? And you continue to feel like you need to be the hero, answering the questions, moving the needle forward, giving direction, giving approval. And this feels responsible oftentimes, but it keeps the business dependent on you. And again, if it's dependent on you and you're not able to grow, your business will only grow to the level of its weakest link. And if this is you and this is how things are being led, there's a good chance you might be the temporary weakest link. You can't scale what you're personally touching every single day. The quick fix for this, though, is block 2 to 4 hours a week for CEO time. This is no meetings. This is not you answering texts or answering emails. This is about you thinking. This is about you visioning. This is about planning. This is about leading the organization. And if you schedule this time on your calendar and then hold it sacred, just like you would if it was your number one client. The first time I heard this, I was like, well, of course. I absolutely always stepped up and gave amazing service to my clients. Why would I not do the same thing for myself and my business? I would never show up to a meeting and then start scrolling through email or texts or social media or answering a phone call if I was with a client. So why in the world would I be doing that when I am in my CEO time? So really hold that time sacred for yourself. And an important thing that I see most people miss is that none of these problems, none of these bottlenecks are solved by working harder. They're solved by design. They're solved with intention, because high performance businesses don't grow and scale on effort alone. They're built on structure. And what I've noticed in my almost 30 years in business is that the successful, high-performing leaders are not working more hours than everyone else. They're not more stressed than everyone else. They simply design better, which means they are left making fewer decisions. They design roles so that everyone on the team knows exactly what they own as far as responsibilities. They design priorities that actually get done because timelines are given. They design their calendar so that they have time to think, not just react, and a calendar that supports their initiatives, not drowns out the ability to succeed in those initiatives. And that's the shift from hustle to intentional strategic leadership. I know I've covered a lot. I think I've been talking for almost a half an hour. So what I would love to do right now is open it up for questions. And if there's anything I've said that has brought up a question, or if there's something that's just feeling really relevant right now, please feel free to put the chat in. I think actually there's a Q&A that you can utilize. If you have a question you want to ask, I'd be happy to answer it. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my share so I can see it a little bit better right now. Are there any questions?
Hey, Dina, this is Rebecca.
Yes.
While everybody's typing, I thought I would jump in there because I can, verbally ask you a question. Talk to me about, delegating is a challenge for me. I like to do what I do. So, I get very excited about, doing the work that we do. And as I delegate, we definitely set it up. We have a document. And then, like you said, getting somebody to like 80% of it, and then you coach the rest of the way. What happens when that first time you let them do it, maybe it doesn't go as well as you hoped? So, do you have any tips for us on coaching up to 80% and then getting that 90, 95, 98%, getting it, there? Because when I delegate, like I get so excited, like, wow, look at me, I let something go. I don't let stuff go. But then it doesn't always go great. How do we coach that? What can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Great question. And I will have some goodies for everyone. And one of the goodies speaks specifically to effective delegation. So it'll walk you through some steps that I feel work really well. I think the key thing is that anytime you're mentoring someone on a new task, new responsibility, is to understand that the first production of whatever it is you're delegating is a telltale sign, and it shows you what's important. It is a way of evaluating your communication. How effective did you communicate what it is you wanted, the outcome you wanted, and how you believed they could best get to that outcome, and how well did they receive it? And so one of the ways that I think works really well, there's a lot of times there's parallels. If you're a parent, parenting and leadership, there's some good things here, but you can always start by asking them to repeat back what they heard, because you want to make sure, did they hear what you said? But you also want to know, did you say what you meant to say? So that can be part of it. I love to put the onus of if I'm creating a training material or an SOP, I put the ownership on the one being trained. I want them to take responsibility of taking notes, of understanding what needs to be done, and use technology if you want. I'm not opposed to using technology to have the transcription created and the notes typed up, but then have them share the notes with you so that you can actually read what did they understand from the conversation. And you might be able to then see where, oh, you know what? I don't think I even mentioned this point. Like I did in my head, but I don't think I spoke it out loud. So of course they missed that step. But it's a way for you to collectively work with your team member or your team to really help ensure that things are being communicated effectively, that they're being heard and understood. And I have found that that often helps a lot of the confusion. So even if they only made it to 50% that first time, if you have a training material now to work from, that's also going to help you ensure that the next time they get it to 80 or 90% on their first try.
Excellent, thank you. I do have questions in both the chat and the Q&A, so I'll kind of verbally ask those if that's okay, Dana.
Absolutely.
From Patty in the chat, what are the biggest challenges you see when a leader transitions to a delegator? Going from that doer to delegator, the team is used to seeing you handle it. So literally when they say, well, you're going to change it anyways, what do you see there? What advice can you offer us?
Great point. I am one who I like to lead with humility, and I may even be one to say, all right, I know it's time for me to allow some of you to do what I've been doing, and understand that I'm releasing the reins, but I also want to make sure that you have everything you need to be successful in your job or successful in the outcome that we're talking about. So go ahead and work on, ABC steps, but then why don't we meet and evaluate where you're at that point? You move into D, E, and F of the project. So it's really scheduling times for accountability and to have checkpoints so that you can ensure you're not losing too much ground if they were, just 1 degree off. In part B, you want to catch that before they get to part E. And so I hope that was helpful. I think the key is you want to understand that the best leader will grasp. If you want your company to grow, if you want your team to grow, that means you need to be growing. And growth is not always comfortable. In fact, growth is usually rarely comfortable. So if you feel uncomfortable releasing the reins, that's exactly where you're supposed to be. If you are feeling a little uncomfortable checking in with them, think of it as a mentoring opportunity to bring up this next level of leader. And the truth is, if you want your business to grow, this is your job. Your job now is to delegate and then mentor them through this new process. I hope that helped a little bit, Patty.
That was great. Actually, Dana, is it okay if I just turn my camera on so I can, have a conversation with you? Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect. So I'll keep asking the questions. Definitely,
Okay.
they are coming in. So I do have a couple more for you. And then I'm going to recap something that you kind of answered my question and Patty's question. Comes back to communication and clear setting of expectations. And I think, just looking at, I'm always reflective of my own journey as a small business owner. That's what you get with that CEO time is you get to reflect and you get to say, okay, this maybe you can delegate a task and how is that going to go? That's your CEO time. That's one of the best uses of, the thinking time. So I'm going to interpret that over there. But yeah, back to communication and clear expectations. Question from the Q&A from an anonymous attendee. What if there's no one to delegate to?
The great question. And there's a tool I use, but you don't even need the tool per se. But if you start getting really clear on where is your time being spent through the day, throughout the week, really not from a micromanagement standpoint, from an awareness of where are you investing your time in your business. And when you start looking at it by responsibility, by task, and by the skills needed for those tasks, as you're in growth mode, you can start looking at where are you losing a lot of time doing tasks that at your level doesn't make sense. And what would hiring maybe a virtual assistant, even 5 hours a week is 20 hours a month. What could that free up for you so that you could go get another sale, another client? And what would it take? 20 hours a month. Let's say they're making, I don't know, $20 an hour, or we can make it $30 an hour. So 30 times 20 would be 600. I hope my math was right there.
Oh yeah, you're good.
And what would it take for your business to be able to cover a $600 investment in that virtual assistant? And chances are one client could make that difference and still give you profit.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I love that. There is another question from the Q&A. Is it Manuel? Yes, Manuel. He would like your book recommendations. We've all been scoping out your bookcase in the back of your video there. What books, I'm going to shift it a little bit. What books do you recommend? And then I want to know, what are you reading right now?
Okay. Well, I have to recommend the blue one behind me. In fact, I probably have a copy right here. I do. Lead with Purpose. And this is actually a book I wrote. It is 52 Weeks to Ignite Growth. And I really wrote it as a leadership devotional with the intent and with the philosophy that if you invest just 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes a day, in reading a couple of pages, answering a couple questions on your own journey in leadership, how much that can turn into exponential growth over the course of a year. And that's just 5 minutes a day. Now, as far as other books, there are so many books. And I think it really depends on I am one who absolutely believes in reading to study material. I will listen to the same books multiple times versus challenging myself to read 52 books in a year. I'd rather maybe only listen to 8 books and I'll listen to them on repeat if I'm really working on my mindset and developing new beliefs and habits. Um, so it depends what you're going after. One great book that I do recommend often is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And it is one all about when you are hitting your upper limit. And that means that you're on the cusp of, I like to think of it as a visual of turning your current ceiling into your next floor because you're moving up to that next level of leadership. But he just does a great job of like showing you how some of how the devil can show up and the challenges show up as signs that you're ready to make it to that next level. Um, Such a good mindset shift. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. It's one that you could read every single year and you will get something different out of it because you are different when you're listening to it. If you're in a really rapid season of growth, you might read that more than once in a year and get something different from it because you're evolving so quickly. To your question now of what am I reading right now, I am actually listening to Atomic Habits for probably the 4th or 5th time because I really wanted to get into the connecting and the stacking of good habits where my health is concerned. So I'm following my own advice with my pillars and bringing it back to health.
I like it. I just got the workbook, the Atomic Habits workbook that came out last month. I'm just barely starting it. So
Awesome.
yeah, good book. Excellent. We do have a question. Who's the author? And you said it's The Big Leap. Is that right?
The Big Leap, yes. The cover of the book will show a goldfish jumping out of a fishbowl, and the author is Gay Hendricks, Hendricks, I believe.
And then your book is Lead with Intention. Is that right?
Lead with Purpose.
Purpose, sorry. Okay.
Lead with Purpose, 52 Weeks to Ignite Growth, and it's available on Amazon.
I was just about to ask that. Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, do we have any other questions from the audience?
If not, I can go right back in. I do have a couple more points to make, and then I'll get it wrapped up for us.
Yes, please. Take it away. I will start.
All right, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. All right, thank you for those questions. And notice that most of them come back to the same thing, and it's where do I actually start first? And at this point, most leaders, okay, Mike, there we go. Most leaders ask me the same thing. Okay, I see myself in maybe all 3 of those bottlenecks or 2 of them. Where do I start? Because trying to fix everything all at once just creates another to-do list for you, and that clearly we are not wanting to do. And guessing usually means that you work really hard and there's a good chance you might be working on the wrong things. So instead of adding more work, we need to get clarity first. Which bottleneck is actually costing you the most time, the most money, and the most leadership capacity right now? And once you know that, the path gets a little bit simpler. And that's why I have built this next resource that I would love to share with you. And I want to give you something that you can actually start using this week, something that's practical, simple, and immediately actionable, because it's all about being able to move that needle further and faster. And so instead of guessing what to do, I have created a strategic leader toolkit that will help you with clarity, focus, and action. Because most leaders, as I've shared, don't need more information. They need clarity on where to focus and what to fix first. So real quick here of what is inside this toolkit is a diagnostic, which will help you find your number 1 bottleneck. It may even identify where your top 2 bottlenecks are. I also will share with you that day in the life guide, which is really the exercise I have all of my clients work on first. I'll share with you all of the questions to ask, the format behind it. That exercise, I just ask that everyone take about 1 hour of undistracted time to write out in as much detail as possible what you want that average day in your life to look like and feel like 1 year from now. So that's the day in the life guide. Then a simple 90-day sprint planner so that you can be executing on what matters. And it's a format. First, you'd be establishing your 12 months of goals, or as I like to call them, celebrations. And I do think it's important to mention here, a lot of people talk goals. But what happens when you talk about a goal, you're thinking about something that's out here. It's not something that's right here. It's down the road. Versus when I started working with clients and I started asking them, what do you want to celebrate 12 months from now, 3 months from now, 1 month from now? Celebrate brings that right here with me, and I'm in celebration energy. So that I just want to highlight this because some of the work I do, some of the most important work I do with clients is mindset. And really, and the words we use, the words we talk to ourselves with, the words we talk to others with make such a difference. But beyond that, we want you to get clear on what are your 12-month celebrations and goals, and then what are the 3-month, or as this says, 90-day goals and celebrations that you want to be sprinting towards. So tools to help you around that. Then to what Rebecca and Patty were talking about is that there's actually a delegation assessment that you can take, answer a few questions for yourself, and then I actually share with you how to delegate effectively with the LEAD framework that I've created. And then there's a meeting reset playbook. Avoid meeting paralysis and really start ensuring that every single meeting that is taking place in your business is for a purpose and has a desired outcome, and also be evaluating what meetings you no longer need to be part of. Trust your team, empower your team. And then there's also some ready-use templates that I use with my private clients to really turn insights into execution. My goal is that I want you walking away. I want you walking away inspired, yes, but more importantly, I want you walking away with an actual plan. So for those of you that may hear all of that and think, that's great, I want that, and I already know that I would love some support on figuring out my bottlenecks and how to move forward, I would also like to extend an invitation to anyone who is interested in a complimentary leadership accelerator call with me. It's personal, practical focus. We're going to dial in those bottlenecks and really map out what are your best next steps to eliminate that bottleneck. And how you can access all of these goodies is by going to the link there. And maybe Rebecca, I should have had it ready. If you could put that in the chat for me, it's just danaearhart.com/strategic. And that will take you right to the 8 downloads that I've mentioned and the ability to schedule this call with me as well. Again, my goal is I want you leaving with clarity, not just more theory. I'm going to stop there. I feel like I talked a lot, and I know we want to be wrapping up. I would love and welcome any of you who are interested. Please let's stay connected. You can find me on LinkedIn. I also put out a weekly LinkedIn newsletter called Leadership and Legacy, where leaders multiply what matters. I welcome you to connect with me, subscribe to the newsletter, and download your goodies. And I'm not sure if we have any more time or if there are any other questions, but I'm happy to take any if there are.
Dana, this has been fantastic. I will give last call as well, kind of reiterating the last call for questions. We do have just a few minutes. And Dana, are you okay with sharing your toolkit? Is that right? You're going to send it to us and we are able to distribute it. Is that right?
Yes, or they can just go right to that link and it will be accessible for them to download. It comes in 8 different components, so you don't have to do it all at once, but do start where I say start here.
I appreciate it. We always need that, like the start here, very clear, very obvious.
Yes.
Make it as easy as possible for us. Generally distracted, busy small business owners. So,
Absolutely.
all right, I am looking. I don't see any other questions in the Q&A or the chat.
Okay.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you so much for coming. So with that, I will say, Dana, thank you so much. This has been delightful. I did drop your link into the chat. We will also include it in our post-event materials that are distributed to everyone. And of course, there's a leaf blower. Somebody is blowing right behind me. So just that is the nature of the beast with virtual events. So Dana, thank you again so much. Thank you again to all of our ADOT department representatives for providing those updates. And I gotta say that was your last call. So I think we are good for today. Dana, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Lorena. If there's anything else, I do invite you to turn your camera back on. If you have any last notes from ADOT, DBE Supportive Services. But thank you to the crowd. This was a very engaged attendance meeting. I love it. And I'm going to go check out your books. I have not read your book yet, but I love all the recommendations. Can't wait to get into that one and get into your materials.
Thank you so much for having me here. This was great.
This was a pleasure. Thank you.